podcast is designed to help aspiring advertisers break into the industry. And I'll admit, a majority of my targeting has been for younger audiences who recently graduated. I'm in that demographic, and most of the guests I have on that I interview are in that same category. But not in this episode. This episode features an interview with Monica Roebuck, whose break-in story happened later in her career. Better late than never, Monica successfully found a job at Wieden Kennedy, New York. And there are valuable lessons for all level of listeners, so stay tuned. They're known for their celebrity meals this year, such as the BTS meal. Adweek recognized Wieden, New York as one of the most effective shops of 2021. And we learn in this episode that it's never too late to make a move. For those just entering your career, let's say you're a few months in, on the reverse, don't feel like you owe your company an extended stay. If you feel the urge to leave, leave. Leave or make the move that your gut tells you. If you're seeking more of a challenge, pay, better creativity, or a better environment, there's absolutely no shame in leaving. Actually, you'll probably gain respect from your peers if it's a proper move. And we learned that it's okay to go back to school. You have to be honest with yourself, which is not always easy. Monica went back to school and did not let her ego disrupt her from getting the education and experience needed to land the job she wanted. Breaking into whatever you want, whatever industry, can happen in a variety of ways. Once you know what you want to do, work backward and make it happen, whatever that is. And speaking of further education and experience, this episode is supported by Chicago Portfolio School. If you're craving a career that requires you to use your mind and develop creative ideas for a living, this school can help you get there. They've helped thousands of people land jobs at ad agencies and sure can help you. Visit them at chicagoportfolio.com. Now, if you want to connect with Monica and see her recommended resources, you have to do so by going to our Instagram at Breaking and Entering Pod on Instagram. It's all one word, Breaking and Entering Pod on Instagram, and you can see all of that. But now, let's get on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast, and as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. All right, Monica Roebuck, welcome to Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. We had a little chaos scheduling, so I apologize, but it's so good to have you. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. It's like the last day of work before I am free to enjoy the holidays, so it's all good.
How long do you have off? Like, what's it looking like for you?
I think technically we're supposed to be back on the 3rd, but I don't have another meeting until I think like the 5th or 6th. So.
Wow. What are you gonna do?
Oh man, I'm gonna go back home. My family's in Virginia, and hopefully I'll see some family and hopefully see some friends, and yeah, it'll be a good time.
Right. And you're in New York right now?
Yeah.
Yep. Because you work at Wieden Kennedy, New York, and you're a copywriter there.
Correct? I do. I am.
Great agency this year. A lot of great work from this shop. Are you guys responsible for like all the meals, like the McDonald's meals?
Yeah, the McDonald's team has been working hard doing they were doing stuff for Mariah, and they did BTS, and they've been rolling those out. It's been crazy.
I was in David Griner's podcast from Adweek. Yeah, that's probably an ad this morning, and he was just hyping up Wieden Kennedy, New York, saying it's like one of the best independent shops, like of any like singular location. It's been one of the best like performing.
Yeah.
Martin Agency won like the ad agency of the year. Not that it really matters, but you guys did really well. So congrats to all of you.
Thanks. I mean, I love Martin too. That's where I interned there and did some stuff undergrad and New York streets.
Yeah, no worries.
And they were great like to work with while I was at VCU for Brand Center. So I love them. They've been doing great work. So happy for them.
Yeah, we'll get into because you're from Virginia, you went to VCU. We'll get into all of that, but for now, we'll hover on this Wieden train right now. So with Wieden, like in New York. Tell us about like what's it like working there? Who are you working on? Like, what's your role? Give us the rundown to all our listeners that are looking for new jobs or looking to break in. Like, what's your day look like there?
I mean, most of my day is kind of just thinking and just, obviously like ideating. I have like a couple of meetings throughout the week, but yeah, mostly it's just, thinking. I'm working on Heinz and HBO currently right now, and we just had spots come out in like November for Sprite, the holiday special. So that was cool.
LeBron James in that?
No, he's not. He's working with like Pepsi. He's doing Mountain Dew now and all that stuff. So we
Sprite cranberry.
Hmm?
The Sprite cranberry?
Yeah. Well, like now it's like Sprite Winter Spice cranberry instead of like just Sprite cranberry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why? What was the rationale behind that?
I think they might have like redone the formula a little bit. Yeah. They're just trying to make it sound a little bit more festive. It's not bad though. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure it tastes really good. Who's your like art director that you work with?
My partner's name is Kiki.
Kiki? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what you're working on, like what clients you're working on now, or is that illegal?
No. Yeah, I'm working on Heinz right now. We're working on some social work, and then not social work, but
yeah,
social. And also working on HBO, but we're kind of in a lull right now just because it's like the holidays and we're waiting for some client feedback. But yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, around this time of the year, like a lot of people are checking out. There's not much, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's kind of in like holiday mode, which is nice because I feel like at my old job, it was very like, unless you took time off, you would be working up until like the holiday. So it's nice that, the ad world is kind of down with taking a pause for the holidays.
Love it. Love it. So let's talk about that. So I want to kick it back now. Anything else like about Wieden, like you want to tell us about that's really interesting or like culture-wise that you really love, like before we move on, like you want to hype up or just let people know about?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the people are great. I haven't been in the office a lot just because of, everything going on in the world. I've been in there like a couple of times, but, every meeting, people, I guess, just make me feel like, that they're glad that we're here and impressed with the work that we've been doing. So, I mean, it's just been a great place to kind of kick things off. I wasn't expecting it for like my first job right out of grad school, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Who's a CCO or like who are some high like or ECDs or like who are some of the high power creatives there that are leading the charge? Hold on, I can't hear you.
Sorry, it like randomly connected to my AirPods and then it like muted. But
I'll take it out. Say that again. Like who are some of those?
Can you repeat the question for me? Sorry,
yeah, all good. Who are some of those like lead creatives right now at Wieden Kennedy, New York?
Lead creatives.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess like the CDs that I have been working with, I've been working with like Will Bender and like Blair Warren. I work with them on Sprite, and I'm working with Will and Heinz and their CDs. And the CCO is, I believe, Carl Lieberman.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like they've been doing a lot of like internal shifting. And in our last creative meeting, they were talking about how they really want to make sure, leadership is, at least like CD level, is, internal and not, like random people from like other agencies, which is cool to hear.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, let's kick it back then and how you got started in all this. This is the Breaking Entry podcast. So people want to figure out how you got into your agency role here, but you weren't always in ad agencies, right? For a while, that wasn't the case. So tell us about like your come up and how you got here.
Yeah, so I used to do design at a place called Custom Ink, and I worked there for about 9 years. And I went to VCU undergrad for creative advertising, so I knew I always wanted to, get into copywriting or some kind of form of advertising. Um, but I ended up just taking kind of like the first job that came my way when I got out of undergrad, and that's how I ended up at Custom Ink. And I mean, it was cool because it helped me kind of develop a skill that like I kind of had, but it just like enhanced it a little bit. And it's nice that I have kind of like two skills coming into, a job in this kind of industry. But I ended up, still wanting to write in some way or fashion. And so I did like an internal copywriting internship there. And then I ended up, applying to the brand center and getting in there and for copywriting. And once I finished brand center, I got to Wieden.
Yeah. So what did you study in your undergrad experience at VCU?
I studied creative advertising and like minored in like English and art history or whatever, things that don't really matter, but
sure. And like many, you took whatever job you got right out of college that happened to be Custom Ink, and you stuck with it for a good amount of time. How long were you there?
Yeah, it was about 9 years or so.
It's impressive. I mean, a lot bounced around. What made you stay for so long? What drew you to it? And why didn't you jump ship earlier? What was going on?
Man, yeah, I feel like I remember getting that job and telling myself, I'm only going to be here for a year and then I'll kind of like move on and try something new. But I ended up, liking what I was doing and liking the people that I worked with, and it's also pretty like stable.
Yeah.
Which I mean is great. But yeah, I mean, eventually I kind of got this itch that I needed to kind of like move on, even though I was like kind of moving up in the company and taking on different like roles and responsibilities. I knew I always wanted to figure out a way to get back to advertising.
Okay, so you're moving up. It was stable. It was comfortable, I'm sure. But you're also doing well if you're moving up in the company. Mm-hmm. When did you first get the itch? You're like, all right, it's time for me to like, I'm getting the itch. I want to explore new options. What point of like, what year was that in your career?
Man, I mean, I feel like I had gone to like a few brand center sessions and I just never like made the jump. But I guess it was 2019 that I finally applied.
Right, but what was holding you back?
Oh man, I mean, I guess I was just like, I don't need to go back to school. I'm kind of older, and I was just like, it feels kind of like weird. I mean, I know in like the back of my head that it's not weird to want to, like, you should be able to go back to school like whenever you want to, but I don't know. It's just kind of like, I don't know that that's like really the possibility for me right now. But I figured there was really no other way that I was gonna move into the role that I wanted to be in unless I ended up going to school in some capacity.
Gotcha. And then what was the defining moment where you're like, all right, I'm going to do this? Like, what did it take for you? Walk us through like that process. You're like, okay, I'm going to go for sure. This is it.
Man. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was just, I was getting bored. So it's like I had to switch it up and do something. And I had actually applied to the brand center maybe like 2 years before I had actually started going. I had applied and I didn't get in. And then the next year I was like, I'm not going to apply again. Like, I'm over it. But then the year after that, I was like, no, I'm going to apply again. And so I did apply for the second time and got in. But yeah, I just needed to like shake it up. I felt,
Yeah. what did you do differently between the first application where you didn't get in, which is, I can't believe that they would ever deny people. I mean,
Oh.
what happened? Like, what did you do differently the second time
I think I mean, it sounds so corny, but I think it was less worrying about, what they wanted or thinking I knew what they wanted and just being kind of more vulnerable and, putting a lot more of me and like my personality um, in the stories that I wanted to tell in like, paper form or application form and give.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it connect to your AirPods again? Let me know.
What was that?
Oh, I thought it connected to your AirPods. Your audio,
It did.
but no, you're all.
I'm trying to like stay on top of it, and it keeps.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. So, what track did you go into at VCU?
I went into copywriting.
Gotcha. And what made you say, okay, I want to do copywriting out of all of the tracks?
I feel like I've just always been a writer. I loved writing. When I was like younger, I would write really stupid like kids books that I feel like my parents would save, and I just always like storytelling, whether it's just like making people laugh or just like writing the stories and cards before you give them to people. I don't know. Yeah, I just really enjoy like storytelling as a medium, which is, I know when I applied, people were asking me if I was, going to apply to be an art director, but I was really interested in copy. So.
Nice. And VCU is a 2-year program, correct?
It is.
Was that 2 years hard for you? Like, was it difficult? Do you regret it? I mean, what was your overall, like, what was the process like when you were there?
I don't regret it. I think they were an awesome 2 years. I wish there hadn't been a pandemic, for 3/4 of it. But I mean, it was hard, but I think having back or job experience before coming into the brand center instead of going right into it after undergrad helped a lot. Just because I was able to, schedule better and yeah, I'm not like a 4 a.m. working kind of person. I need to get sleep. So
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Better time management. You've worked for a while. You knew what was going on. It was just another job probably, right? You just treated it as another career. Were you working on the side as well?
Yeah, I was still working full time while I was going to the brand center because I'm older, so I have to, pay bills and get my health insurance and all that. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And I mean that balance, like you were able to manage it. Was it? And you just said you were able to. You don't have to stay up late at night. So how'd you balance all that?
Oh man, I mean, I'm lucky because I don't have to. Like my old job, I didn't have to go into like an office. I could work from home, so it wasn't like I was commuting and like being in an office. I could do everything from home. And then, obviously when COVID hit, I was at home a lot more anyway. So like, I definitely think that helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it changes things when you're not an individual working, you're working with partners and you want to make sure you're not like letting them down or holding them up. So you want to get your work done,
Yeah, a little bit more accountability.
Yeah. Like if it were just me, I could totally see myself procrastinating more and waiting to the last minute. But when I know, other people are kind of relying on me to write things, it kind of, it's a pep in my step or whatever. It's so corny, but yeah.
Yeah. It worked out, and you applied right after you graduated to Wieden. Was that your only choice, or what were you looking at? Why Wieden?
No, we have a recruiter session at the brand center, and they kind of like put our portfolios up when they're all done, and then people kind of will check it out and reach out to you. And I had talked to the people at Martin did an interview there and did some chats with both Wieden Portland and in New York, and just ended up, I wanted to stay on the East Coast, so I stayed and chose Wieden, New York that way.
Did you have a choice, or did they give you one offer?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to both offices, and so Portland gave me an offer, and also New York gave me an offer.
Beautiful. Yeah, so, both really great spots. I mean, doesn't get much better, really, than those two.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I lucked out. It's definitely not what I was expecting. I would have been happy getting any job outside of graduation, because I just feel like I was like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, hopefully I do get one and I can kind of, do what I wanted to do, which is move on from my old job and get into this world and this industry. And yeah, I was lucky to get hit up by both offices.
Nice. Well, it worked out. Your plan worked, and that seems to be a strong lesson. But I'll let you explain it. Like, what advice do you have for people out there that are looking to break in later in their careers? Because I always neglect this. I'm always thinking about recent grads, but there's a whole demographic out there that wants to break in later in their career. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say, like, when you feel like the time is right, I would just say, like, go for it. I feel like I took too much time knowing that I wanted to leave and do something else, and just kind of let years go by, and not jumping on it. I feel like I could have been in this world a lot sooner if I hadn't been so self-conscious about things like age that don't even really matter, because I think, however old you are, you're going to bring some kind of value to, the partnerships and the things that you're working on. And I feel like this industry just makes you feel old sometimes. But I know people who were turning 40 at the Brand Center and who are 40 now, and it really doesn't matter.
No, absolutely. I'm sure you bring so much. When Wieden saw you, they're like, okay, you have so much experience, and you just get things that recent grads just haven't learned yet.
Man, I don't know. God, I feel like that whole time frame was a blur. Dealing with graduation, and then having portfolio session, and I had some family stuff going on, and it was crazy just having all these interviews and all these chats. But yeah, I mean, the chats were also your book's cool, but they were more conversational, just talking to me about me, and not necessarily all the pieces in my book, which was kind of cool too.
Yeah, because a lot of time working for portfolio school, a lot of these recruiters, they look at your book first, and then they see, are you able to do the job?
Yeah.
Are your ideas good? Can you write headlines? And are you what we're looking for on that level? And then yes, they'll say yes or no, and then they'll get to know you. And then if you're a fit, and you're going to get hired.
Yeah.
That's how it runs. So by the time you're getting into that interview, they already know that you can do the work.
Yeah.
So you obviously impress them with your book. Now they want to get to know you, and with all your experience and just who you are, it probably was a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. And I mean, a lot of people also, would ask me about the layout of my book, and ask me about the illustrations on it, and I did those myself. And so yeah, again, having different things that you can flex, and I guess that's another thing, just because you might not have a background in advertising or a lot of knowledge in it, it doesn't mean that you still can't, because I think your previous backgrounds or even your interests will be great and come into play in the work that you're doing. It just gives you a different viewpoint. So
absolutely, very well put. Great. Is there any other piece of advice that you want to give out to the people that we didn't cover?
Oh man, I feel like I've been carrying this tidbit around with me. I did when I did an interview at Martin, with Ashley Marshall, who actually used to work at Wieden. Um, I asked her what she would look for in juniors and creatives, and um, her advice was, sorry, it was to make like even the small things like seem really cool to like other to like her, like other people that work there. So even if you're working on something that doesn't seem as cool as like, McDonald's meal, like still making that seem cool and like fun and putting your all into that and making other people wish that they had been working on it is like something that I kind of think about a lot.
Yeah, make every assignment interesting.
Yeah.
No matter how small or minute or boring it may seem, you can always put on it. I love that advice.
Yeah. It's been good. Been trying to carry it around with me. Liked it a lot.
Yeah. My boss was saying he worked for Ed McCabe, who is like a legend back in the day, long time ago. And even like on coupon ads, they would win one show awards. Because at that agency, Scally McCabe at the time, no matter what they were working on, even if it was a coupon ad, it had to be the most interesting thing that they could think of.
Yeah.
So that's that. But anything else that you want to give out to the people, or how can they reach out to you, or any resources you recommend? What do you think?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to me like on LinkedIn. My name's Monica Roebuck, obviously. My email is monicaroebuck89@gmail, and I'm also on like Insta. It's like stuff you can find if you like go to my portfolio. Like resources. I'm trying to remember the things that I wrote down the other day. I mean, and I look at ComArts a lot. I look at 60 like Brand Center's like annual journal a lot. I mean, obviously I'm biased because I went there, but I just think the work is also always like super inspirational. The Deck of Brilliance I feel like is super helpful. Aisha Hakim, she works at Preacher, and she's got like a really cool deck on deck making, which I love to look through.
She never responded to me and tried to get her on this pod.
Yeah.
Makes me mad, but she's probably busy.
I feel like she's ECD now. She's probably like super busy.
Yeah. I mean, I've had ECDs on this, so if she's listening, I'm on the pod.
Yeah. Oh man. Or you get a tweeter or something.
Yeah, people love in advertising. They love Twitter.
Yeah, I love Twitter, but I don't want. I like it for like entertainment, like TV and stuff like that. I'm not really like at Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'll list all the resources. You sent them to me. So if you're listening, go to our Instagram, Breaking and Entering Pod, all one word, where we'll have all the links to what you're recommending and to find you. You said LinkedIn's okay, so we'll just link your LinkedIn. So great. If you don't have any other advice, then we can wrap it up there. This has been fantastic, and I appreciate you coming on. Anytime, any advice that you have, or if you ever want to share anything with our audience, you can reach back out to me, and I'll tweet it out, or I'll put it on our Instagram too.
Sounds good. I mean, I guess like a last piece of advice, if you're a copywriter, I would definitely take like an intro sketch class because I feel like that helped me and like my confidence a lot. But that's like
intro sketch class.
Yeah, like a sketch writing class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Little tidbit, but it was fun for me. That's like my last little bit.
Where'd you do that at?
At a local theater in Richmond.
Nice.
I've always wanted to take one at like Second City and like UCB, and like maybe one day I'll do that when I have the money. But
yeah, I like that. I'm writing that now. No, I'll put that in the intro. But great. That's all I got. Once again, thank you for coming on, and we'll stay in touch, and hopefully people reach out to you and ask some more questions.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Did you hear anything on this episode about a job you'd like to have someday, soon, in advertising, strategy, design? The kind of job where you use your brain and your creativity? If you did, chances are a portfolio can really help you get that job. That's where Chicago Portfolio School comes in. They have programs and classes that help you show off your thinking and get you the job you want. So visit them at chicagoportfolio.com. And if you drop my name, Gino, into the chat box, they'll send you more info and a cool Sharpie. Or just some more info. You can decide that. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to this entire episode of the Breaking and Entering Advertising podcast. If you like what you heard, it would mean a lot to us and help us grow and get better guests and better break-ins if you can go to Apple Podcasts and leave us 5 stars and a small review if you have the time. Be sure to connect with our guests if you like what they said by going to our Instagram at Breaking and Entering Pod. That's all one word, Breaking and Entering Pod on Instagram. We have links to their portfolios and their LinkedIn, and they want to connect, so do that. And thank yous. Thank you to Mikey Malarkey, our audio engineer, and Buchan Zhang, our creative director. Can't do without you two, and a team from the University of Illinois. It's a student team from the agency called AdBuzz. They're a PR agency, and it's been a pleasure working with them. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next week with another amazing guest.